Oh my god, I'm like so hyped for this game. So December 6th, Path of Exile 2 is launching an early access, and there is absolutely no fear in me that this is going to be a full-on experience. I know that technically it's not going to have all of its story acts, but frankly the story in these type of games is normally kind of a tutorial. And the real meat and taters of Path of Exile specifically, and I think ARPG or just RPG in general, is that end game, the replayable, expansive, escalating power system content. Path of Exile does it, frankly, the best, and that's even competing with games like Risk of Rain 2, I think, which are beloved. I love that game, but even then, in terms of just like the scale and the escalation, I think it really reminds of a roguelike, but with the immense verticality and the storied progression in terms of like your character with an MMO, which Path of Exile 2, not an MMO, but oh my god, I cannot wait to play with you guys. So links in the description for the Video Game Party Club. If you want to join us, we're going to do a game invasion December 6th and like for the week forward to play Path of Exile 2. I can't wait to play with you guys. And yeah, don't worry, endgame already built in. That's my first thing that I'm looking forward to. The first blind playthrough, playing with all of you guys, playing with all the new players, but specifically, let's go ahead and get on a rant on that endgame. Endgame is built into the early access, which I think is kind of a historic new. It's a little special, isn't it? I mean, how many times have you played a new Monster Hunter or maybe a new, expansion to World of Warcraft, and everything kind of gets like breadcrumbed, it's a little trickled in a little bit. Not even that, but like maybe there's just an absence of endgame entirely. Where's the repeatable, challenging content that like expands my character and gives me player agency? I've just sort of done a tutorial so far. No, Path of Exile 2, endgame is built in. Not only that, but it seems like its endgame is more expansive than it's ever been. Now, I did play the original Path of Exile, but I did not actually participate in the endgame, even though I know that's like the point. It looks like everyone's very aware that's what they want from this game. It's what they're not getting from other action RPGs, or really most games in general, except for maybe roguelites. So it's so awesome that we're getting an endgame, but not only that, but it seems like it has like multiple tiers, like there's multiple endgame ways of playing, like there's multiple endgames kind of. But not only that, it sort of deviates from Warframe, where Warframe has these siloed, expansive contents that really just are minigames. Path of Exile 2, it's all cohesive. Yeah, there's multiple directions you can go, multiple endgame bosses, but they all feed together to make your character stronger, better, and you move on forward. So just multiple ways of playing. So basically, literally multiple endgames that are actually combined into the whole game holistically. I don't know. It's kind of an art. And to me, I just kind of would love to ramp on like why Path of Exile 2 is important. It's an important game. That's probably a whole nother video. But just know, early access, endgame is included, and it's an endgame that's more expansive than ever. This first blind playthrough, our first time playing, whether you're solo, whether you're in the Discord or co-oping with a friend or with us or with anybody, doesn't matter. That first playthrough, regardless, I think is just gonna have so much content, especially considering if you're totally brand new to Path of Exile, guys, this game's gonna have a lot of customization. With such an expansive endgame as well. Look, I'm not gonna explain all of it. You should just watch the hour-long video they have. It is not a quiet playthrough video, which I thought it was gonna be. It's literally like them talking the entire time, spilling the beans and revealing all of the mechanics, and yet it's still just the tip of the iceberg. The customization with the gems and all the little meta gaming that can go on with the throughout the acts, throughout the trials, throughout the ascension, throughout. Oh my god, there's just so many layers to the customization of this game that include, that just breed player agency. It's just Path of Exile 2 is like pregnant with emergent gameplay potential for any player. So yeah, I know you look at it and it's like, okay, it's top down, there's enemies, they explode, it looks visceral, but like, trust me, when you actually get into it and you start chewing on it with your little tactical mind of yours, it's basically no other game is going to give that to you, You kind of get a little bit of this with games like Risk of Rain 2, maybe somewhat to an extent with some endgame systems in some other action RPGs like Monster Hunter, but overall, I don't even want to compare it. I don't want to say it's the Dark Souls of, I don't care. Path of Exile 2 is the Path of Exile of Path of Exile. It really, as much as it looks similar to other games, and maybe even feels like other games, there is just a foundation, there is a bones to this game that just doesn't exist. And I think this title, the second one here, is actually going to be so freaking inspirational. Already, Path of Exile is, I think, a little underrated despite being one of the most popular games on Steam. Path of Exile 2 finally is hitting that mainstream, and that's the next point I want to make. I'm really looking forward to all of the new players who finally have kind of caught on. A wave has built to swallow the whole world here with Path of Exile 2. Yes, this game will be viral. It will be popular. Everyone's going to be playing it. Your TikTok is going to be front-loaded with Path of Exile 2 clips, and all your friends are going to be talking about it. So come on, join the Discord, play with us. It's going to be freaking immense. It's going to be awesome. Also, keep in mind, Path of Exile has a really cool like trading community, and it's really fun to create builds. And there's actually a really creative community here when it comes to coming up with new ways of playing the game and helping each other and participating. So it can kind of give the illusion that it's an MMO, even though it's not. It's more of that's a meta thing, but even though you can play this game solo, like one player, or just co-op, just a few players jump in with some teams, it can feel like a living, breathing community, and I cannot wait for this to be the RPG that really just blows up the genre once again. Now, a lot of games aren't unpopular. Lost Ark, super popular. People play Diablo sometimes, like people do. Don't you have phones? But anyways, Path of Exile 2, I think, is about to hit a stride, especially with everyone else loving RPGs once again, loving kind of dark fantasy again. There's so many reasons why it's like primed to be viral, and it's about to explode. So just keep that in mind. I am looking forward to that. Next up, challenging content. Okay, so I know a lot of the footage of OG Path of Exile or a lot of these isometric RPGs, they don't look that challenging. It's a lot of enemies kind of just blowing up. However, what I've noticed about the footage for Path of Exile 2, the mechanics that I've gleaned, and what I understand about the original versus the new game, is that there is a bigger focus on challenging content happening basically from level 1. Now, I know we talked about a lot of endgame, and that's the real game of it, and, you know, the developers will even say that too. However, in terms of the feel, the visceral combat, the mechanics, as in the mechanical play, not just, like if you were to take strategy, tactics, and mechanics, separate all of them, I'm talking about literally your aim. I'm talking about your combos. I'm talking about like blocking and defending and parrying and dodging. All of that is amped up even more. So it looks like boss design is incorporating that much more. It looks like enemy encounters much more. And just in general, how you actually utilize your classes. You're not just spamming one single ability to rule them all, which frankly is what I did for Path of Exile. And it's what I saw a lot of in terms of just ARPGs. You normally just take one ability or two and you kind of just amp those up and run it down. It looks like more than ever, you're going to have more options. You need to utilize those options, and you need to mix and match. If it's like, you know, freezing a bunch of enemies and then shotgunning them down so they like splinter into ice shards and kill everything else, you're at least going to be layering your abilities. So the challenge is like, you know, amplified there with your character kit, with the monsters, with the elements and the environmental design as well. And then of course the actual boss encounters, which it looks like there is a ton of bosses. Oh my God, being launched. And then of course, with the mutator and modifier aspects where, you know, creatures can be, maybe it's a fire imp or whatever, an ice imp or whatever, or a boss has this mutator or that mutator, or like you move slower and blah, blah, whatever. There's a lot of kind of roguelike elements like mutations and changes that can happen with these two, which makes the content challenging and replayable and layered, where you're going to have to think about, again, kind of going back to your build variety with the gems and the skill tree and the ascension and blah, blah, all the things, just all the things. You have to think about so many different encounters. So yeah, maybe on the screen you're looking at top down, dude just shoots at a horde of enemies, they explode, but I promise you, it's going to be much deeper than that. And I think with Path of Exile 2, you probably can yourself, just the average person, even if you're not used to ARPGs, look at it and be like, okay, yeah, I can see the gameplay. I can see the gamification. And that's important. Another factor why I think it's going to be more popular than ever is you can just viscerally see the impact that your character has, the enemies have. It just looks like a good, chewy game. But anyways, so moving on to the next thing I'm looking forward to is just, in general, it's going to be the build customization. I frankly think it eclipses all other games, just straight up. I know there's a lot of titles like Warframe, sure, Monster Hunter, where even some MMOs, you know, like World of Warcraft a little bit, maybe. There is customization, and some have technical depth, but in terms of like the realness of it, the feelness of it, if I'm allowed to make up words here. Sure, you might have +1 damage to this and does that, blah, 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 but in Path of Exile, at least from my experience, it was factors that really had such an impact that I've only ever seen in maybe some of the newer roguelike games where you can alter freaking reality. I've played a few of those, and Risk of Rain 2 always will champion that game. It feels like that, where you get abilities that multiply abilities that then can like chain off of other abilities, but then you can have it auto cast or recast, or like you could do so many things with any one ability that then how does it interact with other abilities? And then anyways, basically this is all in part thanks to its gem system, as well as its talent tree system. And you know what? There's whole videos and whole channels, basically. There literally is entire people with careers that just talk about that for this one game. So that's how deep this game goes. And from Path of Exile 2, when I've just mentioned about like the actual impact of abilities and the interactions with multiple abilities on any one character, I got a feeling that the customization is going to feel better than any other game. So just flat out, that's just my prediction. That's what I want. That's what I remember from the first game, and I think it's just going to be amped up. So I really don't see how any game can even come close. Like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, and that's me giving it like it's probably not going to be as deep as people fantasize it to be, and I know that, and I'm still saying that honestly. And so I think Path of Exile 2 is important, is because it's kind of showing other games how to do customization, what people want in an endgame. How people, like how other games and genres can take from it. I hope they do, but Path of Exile 2 is the example of build customization. And next up, what I want to talk about for looking forward to, I'm looking forward to also the seasonal evolutions. Now, this is an early access game, so that's exciting. It already has endgame. And yeah, sure, I think that the story progression with the axe, that'll be nice. That'll be nice. But I think it's going to launch with everything we kind of need to be playable. However, I am really looking forward to how they actually do the seasonal mutations. Some of these type of games, normally they'll have like seasonal events, little challenge modes, things like that. I'm really looking forward to that as well. And just in general, how the game progresses. Because I was somebody who played Path of Exile literally day one. I was there and I wasn't in love with it. So mostly what I did was I kind of just checked it out once a year. Once a year, I'd come back in. Oh, a new act. Oh, a new, expansion. Oh, this new thing. And that was fun. I wish I did more of that though, because I didn't know how good it could be. So in saying this, I'm kind of a novice to this. I'm used to games just having, a little Halloween event, or it's like, a little update here or there. But Path of Exile, despite being free to play, and now Path of Exile 2, I think it's going to have immense expansive potential. And I do believe in grinding your games to follow through with that. So if you want a game that lives with you, for the next couple of years at least, that's not just an early access game and you're waiting for it to be finished. No, it's an early access game that has its end game already built in, and it's going to fill in the cracks that it needs to. But then even after that, it's going to continue to properly expand. I can't wait for that. Amplifying everything we've already talked about with the customization, the content. Woo, going to be amazing. And I think finally, basically, what I want to say is I'm excited to be making content again. Finding a game that actually has a depth to it, an importance to it in terms of like the zeitgeist that's happening with the world, the youth and gamers like me who are hungry for something, for developers who have failed to feed us, that content. I'm so happy that Path of Exile 2 is coming out and it looks the way that it does. I'm just so happy to be streaming. And not just that, I'm also really excited for the content that's going to be made on Path of Exile 2, with all the different build guides, with the streams and shenanigans that you guys are going to get up to that I'm going to watch on my TikTok. I literally can't wait. So I'm going to be streaming here on YouTube. I'm going to be making content. We're going to be doing game invasions. I hope you guys have fun. Links in the description to please join us. But Path of Exile 2, I'm just saying, I am keeping the hype alive. Look forward to a lot more content, but this is just the start. This is me just literally gushing and, it's spitting too much on my screen here on this. Well, this is a random little action RPG. Well, maybe. It could be. I'll be honest. But I actually think that there is genuinely something kind of apocalyptic about this game. I think especially for a lot of new people into the genre, you're going to find this like rapturous. I think you're going to see a lot of content and it is going to wrinkle your brain in ways that you were not prepared for. So if it's still a little scary or you're still a little on the fence, again, join the Discord. Let me try to convince you. Shout it out in the comments below what you like or don't like about the genre. Let's fight it out, but let's jump in. Let's have some fun. Anyways, guys, I probably need to end this video because I got a lot more videos that I need to do on this game, and I just want to say that I wouldn't do this. I'm in sort of like my philosophical arc. I wouldn't do this unless I felt like it was important. Like it needs to be said, that people need to know, that people need to experience. I'm trying to share art. That is all I'm trying to do on this channel, where sometimes I'll talk about why Arcane is deep, why certain games are evil for humanity, why some games like Path of Exile must be played, must be experienced, and can elevate our humanity, or something like that, you know. Hey, look, we're still just trying to have fun. We're just some dudes running around killing a bunch of zombies. I get it, but you know what? There's something really special here, and hundreds of thousands, if not a million players are going to experience that and know that very soon. So if you want to be a part of that wave, join us. Let's have some fun. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.